You're engaged! Congratulations! Now what? Well, first, enjoy that feeling. Take time with each other. Go on dates. Go see friends and family. Bask in that glow and that fluttery feeling because you feel like you're on cloud nine. Heck, when I popped the question to my wife after dating for 7 years, I'm still surprised she said yes sometimes. When you do start planning, it can feel like there's an ocean of information out there and you don't even know which pier to start swimming at. And that's okay. I've gathered up some of the leading wedding industry professionals and asked their opinion on where is the best way to start and to sort through all that information out there so you can start planning your wedding.
I think the first thing you do is you sit down as a couple and I would suggest doing this right after the glow of the proposal wears off a little bit. Talk about how much money you want to spend or you can spend. Talk about what your priorities are and decide, okay, we're going to spend money on this because it's important to us. We want this, but it's not so important to us. And just get a really clear picture of what is important to you. Focus your research on the things that are A priorities. Get those nailed down. Then start doing research on your B priorities. And, somewhere along the way, the C priorities will get taken care of as well.
I would say just jump right in and start with your vendors. I feel like a series like this is valuable because it's actually vendors that are working in this industry that are giving you valuable knowledge. I can go to certain websites that they might not even be written by somebody that's in the industry or has any knowledge of how things work. So I would say watch a series like this where it's actual valuable knowledge that's going to help you to book the people that you want to book and have a valuable understanding of the inside workings of the industry. Find people that their style resonates with you, that you feel comfortable with their service offerings, and start to do interviews.
I think my type of vendor, I feel like I'm a lot of referral based. So I would trust friends who've been through the process. That's what I did for a lot of my wedding planning too, and that's how I feel like a lot of people find me. These are kind of vetted people through those that you are friends with and that you know. Even coworkers, I feel like I get quite a few inquiries from, you did my coworker's wedding. So even just asking around, I think a vendor with a personal connection, personal review, means a lot more than what you can find on Google.
I think it's important to talk about what style of wedding you would like to have. There's so many different venues. I think you need to kind of decide on an aesthetic, whether you want it to be rustic or formal or modern, and get your venue in place first and foremost. A lot of the times the venue will have a specific list of preferred vendors that you have to use, and that will kind of dictate how you proceed from there, particularly with catering. But it's important up front to kind of start narrowing down based on the style and the type of venue that you want.
If there was a wedding that you went to and you were just kind of taken aback or really enjoyed how it felt, what it looked like, talk to the couple, ask who their vendors were. I mean, that's just a good way, I feel like, to start. Because I think, and obviously I'm not gonna, the media that's out there, the magazines, they're great. But I think if you already experienced an event, like a wedding where it had a wonderful vibe, it was something that you really were like, wow, this feels great. Chances are they had a really great team to pull that, because it wasn't the couple pulling it together that day. So if they had a great team, whether it was their photographer, whatever it is that you really liked, meet with, one or two of their vendors. And I think vendors give the best recommendations too. So once you say there's a photographer you love, a videographer you love, once you book them, say, who do you like? Because they've worked with so many industry people that they know exactly, what this person is going to be perfect, So trust your vendors in that sense too. Ask for their kind of feedback on other vendors, and a lot of the times they're going to be the ones with the best recommendations.
I feel like one of the best pieces of advice that I could give to a couple, if it's in your budget, I would highly consider hiring a wedding planner, because they know this industry inside and out. They know other vendors. they are well versed in the terminology that not everyone is. So that would probably be my best piece of advice if I could give to you. Hire a wedding planner. You'll be happy you did.
First, I would get a binder, making sure everything is individually labeled, such as here's my venue, here's my photographer, here's my videographer, and basically have everything that you've discussed in those things. And you can always add to that binder, take away things, and basically have a master summary of your wedding.
I would ask for recommendations, and I would hire a coordinator or a planner. Recommendations works because you know friends or family that have used that vendor and can give you feedback. When you open up a magazine, there's a million vendors in there advertising. You really don't know where to start. You don't know who's good, who's not. So I would start with recommendations, and if you want a professional opinion, then I would contact a coordinator and consider hiring one.
I do always find like really great articles on the Knot and Wedding Wire. You know, even for us as wedding professionals, they have some really great ones, but I think that they also cater to brides and grooms too. And they're always always doing research on the latest trends and all kinds of stuff. So I think that that's always just a great spot for people to look.
Thank God for online. When, you know, like people were planning 20 years ago, they had to go through the yellow pages. Now you have social media, Facebook, reviews, Google, everything. So you could do a lot of research with your fingertips. But I found that a lot of couples still want to reach out to their friends on that personal level and say, who did you use? Did you like them? Why did you like them? Why didn't you like them? Because I always find it interesting that like a sister that I know from another bride, and I'm like, oh, who was your sister? Like, who's that photographer that you're not going with, and why is that? So it's very interesting to me how people come to find me, and it's usually through a friend of a friend of a friend or another vendor, you know, that I like working with. Usually, you know, other photographers refer me, and I refer other photographers for the dates that I'm booked. Yeah. Yes, it's very important for me to make sure that not only do I work with couples that I like, but that couple gets other vendors that I know they would like.
I think talking to people who've been through this before, getting referrals, either from other wedding professionals or from people they know, I think that's a huge help. There's some really great websites out there that can help you navigate things that are geared towards your personality. One that I like is the Bridechilla community, you know, where you can bounce things off of other people. I think using those resources is really helpful.
I don't know, there's so many great ways. I would say Instagram is a really great way to start like honing in on different images that you like. Pinterest, while we've had that love-hate relationship with Pinterest, it gives you a lot of ideas of what's out there. Talk to your friends and family. You know, most vendors get referrals from past happy couples. If you went to a wedding and the DJ was awesome, who's to say you can't have that same DJ just because your friend's friend's sister had them at their wedding? No one's gonna remember. And every wedding is different. Every wedding is unique to you as a couple. So it's not gonna matter if you had the same DJ or the same photographer or whatever. I had the same photographer as my friend. I was happy with the pictures of her wedding, so why wouldn't I be happy with the pictures of my wedding? Because I'm in them, so that makes it so much better.
I think the best way is through referrals. A lot of my couples have come to me and so they found me through a friend, through a cousin. So I think the best way is through referrals and how happy they were with them.
The biggest piece of advice I have on this is if you find a vendor you fall in love with, so they meet you, they're like, we love Jason. Ask Jason, who do you recommend? Because Jason has teams that he works with every day, all day, every weekend. He knows exactly, if you love Jason, you're gonna love who he recommends. That is my biggest piece of advice, other than looking online and looking to other vendors for advice.
Well, I mean, there's all types of different weddings. There are, you know, $30,000 weddings and there are $200,000 weddings. So, you know, it's really going to depend on kind of a lot of factors. How many guests, type of venue, if you want the city or the suburbs, you know, how elaborate you want to make things. But if I would say, like, if you don't have the biggest budget in the world, do a smaller, better quality wedding rather than having 400 people at some banquet hall and, like, some horrible place in the suburbs that's lousy food and everything. You're like skimming, and you've got a really low-level DJ and some discount photographer. Just, do things with higher quality. It's much better to do a 200-person wedding that's great, and you've got an awesome band, great videographer, a venue you really love, rather than just getting something with mass 400 people. It's just not exactly great and stuff. So that's what I would say.
I really think that sites like The Knot and Wedding Wire are super useful because it allows you to compare and contrast all of the vendors right next to each other. Don't look at too many vendors. That would be my better answer. Do not have 14 hairstylists or 14 photographers that you're trying to decide between. Pick 3, even if you see others out there, pick 3 that initially caught your eye and then compare pricing, packages, contracts, style from there. Because when you start with this like plethora of tons of different vendors, you're going to confuse yourself.
You can start sorting by just having a rough idea of what type of venue you're looking for, whether it's a golf location, a resort, somewhere in the city. Have a rough idea of what you are interested in and how far you're willing to drive to do so. And from there you can kind of sort that out and then take the ones that you are interested in, see what their pricing is like, and if it falls within your budget.
Your first route should be friends and family, unless you don't like your friends and family. Family's tricky because you have to you can be an idiot about it. You can't just be like, hey, what'd you do for your wedding at the golf course in the suburbs? Because we're getting married at this rustic barn in Michigan. If it's not the same thing, then obviously it's bad advice. But start with people that you respect their opinions. Friends, family, coworkers. And like our brides will tell us a lot. Pinterest is huge to get ideas. The Knot, I think, regardless if you're looking for vendors through The Knot, whatever your opinion is about people who advertise with The Knot, I'm simply saying there's a wealth of information there, and there's a lot of Facebook groups and stuff like that too now, where people are kind of friends and family, The Knot, sister sites like that, and then localized groups.
I mean, of course, the easiest access is either the internet, that's what everyone probably goes to first, or a magazine. Magazines are great for editorials, looking at pictures, I think. Some of the information may not be always accurate. It's really based on what you want.
I would say asking friends probably is the best way to begin. Friends who had vendors that were actually good.
And figuring out what you want before you even start.
Maybe that's exactly it. Like sitting down together and figuring out what kind of wedding day you want from the get-go would be the best way to start. Because that will determine what type of vendors, what type of things you do. Yeah.
We hope this episode of Vendors helps you on your wedding planning. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and to share to make sure you and your fellow planning couples don't miss a single episode. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to check out our entire conversation in the podcast. You can find all of today's vendors and their contact information in the details below this video. And be sure to check out all of our episodes about these amazing wedding industry professionals. We'll see you next time on Vendors. Vendors is produced and edited by Night Owls Media. More information can be found at nightowlsmedia.com.